everybody, and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 164. My name's Annie, or also known as Annie Fuchsia. I'm a full-time streamer on Twitch and also your weekly host over here. My co-host is, as usual, the lovely Perculia.
Hey everyone! Always great to do the show and tell everyone what we have been up to on Wowhead as far as the data mining and live stuff and guides. New to the show, I'm traveling afterwards and Sass is babysitting Brightpaw, so Sass, who handles feedback and Discord and giveaways, is here in person. So, yeah, we're excited to have Sass here. And he's doing a giveaway. He said that the prize is the Purple Puffer TCG pet, and the keyword is puffers to enter. And if you have any questions, you can give them to him, and he will probably poke me when he has them, but also type them in Discord so I can read them. So, yeah, we didn't have a show last week because Annie was at DreamHack, but we've had several PTR builds, and even earlier today, a Battle for Azeroth beta PTR Q&A, and Before the Storm has released, so lots of stuff going on since we last did a show.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks have been quite hectic with traveling, overseas to the US and back into Sweden. And now there's another DreamHack coming up, DreamHack Summer for people who are in Sweden. There's lots of events going on this early in the summer, but we are able to at least get this show going and cover all the things that have happened so far. There's also a small chance, or was it 100% chance, that we're not doing the show next week?
Yeah, I will be on the East Coast, so I mean, we may want to see how it goes with the internet if there's a big announcement, but I might not be able to do it if I'm doing some family stuff, but we'll see.
Yeah, this is very normal for during summer times because a lot of things happen, a lot of IRL things happen, which make these shows, a bit unpredictable with dates, but we try to do them as often as we can.
Also, I got food poisoning. There was like a E3 dinner thing at a sushi bar last night, and I got sick. So I'm mostly better now, but I really didn't want to cancel the show, so I'm glad I'm feeling better.
Yeah, Kirk was like, I've been food poisoned. I'm sick over here, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But she's feeling better now, so that's good. So that's good. Hopefully no symptoms anymore.
If you put in the keyword puffers, I screwed up. Do it again.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Guys, if you wrote puffers before, it doesn't matter. You need to type it again to enter the giveaway for whatever reason. Sass has told us, now it's going. Where is Brightpaw? Brightpaw is hiding from Sass.
Brightpaw is hiding under my bed because Sass is going to be babysitting him, which means that Brightpaw's like, and Sass is this person who takes me away and then
I don't want to be kidnapped.
In a box and drives away to this other place. So if I hide under the bed, no one can find me. And I tried picking him up, but he just he's gigantic, but he curled with this little ball, and he's like, no, I am under the bed and you cannot pick me up.
Yeah. Yep.
So maybe he'll come out soon. We've got Pepe's, we've got a Pusheen. He loves playing with all them. But yeah, we should jump right into the Q&A from 2 hours ago.
So you guys might have watched it already. The Q&A happened exactly 3 hours ago, actually.
Yeah.
Exactly 3 hours ago. It went on for about an hour, and there were quite a few topics touched. I know that there were a lot of disappointment because there was nothing mentioned on Classic, but there were quite a few things to do with BfA at least. So we could go straight into that.
Yeah, so while we did not get a date when the pre-expansion patch would launch, we did, the pre-patch actually is up on the PTR test realm now. So that's one step. And Ian clarified some things that were coming in the pre-patch, such as the war mode PvP system and the PvP talents will be coming. As well as things like the new community and guild UI. The class changes are coming as well. As well as there's going to be some interesting end of Legion PvP postseason where people can keep fighting each other, but it's not an official season.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. So it's basically like skirmishes, but
Yeah,
more legit, but at the same time not
exactly.
really legit, like because you don't
Right.
gain anything. So it's I think that's cool. I mean, it just means like they're basically allowing us to use that part of their like servers and like functions without there actually being a season, which is cool. Why not? Like, why not let people play if it's possible to let them play? So I think that's cool.
I also
Um,
wonder when the pre-patch is coming. Like before this Q&A, I was
mhm.
certain that Ian was going to announce and then be like, pre-patch 2 weeks, but he didn't say that. So I don't know, maybe it's July 10th or 17th now. I'm not sure.
Because if it's not in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would add probably another 2 weeks or so. So, like a month before expansion, would that be
Yeah, I think
normal?
it could be that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it'll be shorter than Legion, but
Mm-hmm.
Legion was weird and staggered. Like you couldn't play a Demon Hunter until like 2 weeks before.
Oh,
So
was it that late?
yeah, like you
Oh,
had the
wow.
changes before, but then everything was all staggered. So I don't know. I think maybe they could do a month and have like 2 weeks for Teldrassil and then like 2 weeks for leading up to Lordaeron. Or maybe Lordaeron is actually part of BfA, so this is just Teldrassil being staggered.
Hmm.
Like when you log on to Battle for Azeroth, you have
Yeah.
to do Lordaeron, but not Teldrassil.
Yeah, that's true. All
So
right. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see how that happens to pan out. We also got some clarifications on dungeons.
yeah,
A lot of people had noticed when playing on beta that they weren't able to change gear when playing Mythic Plus, and they were wondering if this is intended. And Ian confirmed that it is indeed intended. I think he compared it a little bit to raiding, like in the
right.
middle of like a raid boss, you can't just swap gear. I'm not sure if I agree with that, like comparison, because raiding is one fight, right? Like you're in combat during the whole time, whereas when you're in a Mythic Plus, there's many different types of mobs and bosses and things to fight. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I think of this change. What do you feel,
Yeah.
Brick?
So I think that I think with the popularity of things like the MDI and esports, that Blizzard is trying to standardize things, and they want
Good
people to
point.
focus on the gameplay and less of the, who's swapping gear, you know, it should be more about like playing as a team instead of trying to get the best possible gear setup and
Mm-hmm.
things like the tournament realms. You can super not abuse it, but when you can buy every single piece of gear, you can min max your
So
gear
much.
setup for
Yeah.
every pull.
Yeah.
And Blizzard was trying to explain it that choices are more interesting when you have fewer of them.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of saying, okay, I will play my gear set for every single mob, now it's okay, well, this is the best overall, gear set I can get. And I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe there will be less dependence, hopefully on gear. Like, if you have every
Probably.
legendary, then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, now I have more flexibility in doing Mythic Plus. And then the emphasis shifts towards having like every legendary, and it would get really messy with Azerite because there's so many combinations of Azerite, even more than legendary. So like your head would
Mm-hmm.
sort of start to explode, having a billion pieces of Azerite armor stockpiled up.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm also curious with the timing because I mean we've seen some pretty long end boss fights like Mythic Gul'dan or Argus, and then if you do a Mythic Plus really quickly, the Mythic Dungeon and the raid boss almost start to be the same amount of time. Like a
All
Maw of
right.
Souls
Yeah.
is
Time
probably
wise. Yeah.
faster than some of these,
Mm-hmm.
the first like Mythic and boss kill.
I guess I can. Yeah. All right. The time can definitely almost be compared at this point with the very harder fights and a Mythic Plus dungeon. And I think also a very good point that you had was definitely the standardizing of a sort of because the like MDI is really popular. It's probably
Yeah.
the only like well not the only but probably the most popular WoW esports as it is. I don't know if I
Hmm.
should call it WoW esports, but
Yeah, it's definitely esports. Yeah.
yeah. And with that, I think it is important to make things standardized. And I think there were some things mentioned where, like, there's certain, like, one shot mechanics where, like, it's really important to have Pridas and then, like, you don't want it for other stuff. And I think if those things are important enough, he did mention that they would address those things and they would,
Right.
nerf the damage if necessary. So I think in that way, yeah, it is probably better to have a more standard form, just like we have in PvP or any other places, when there is a kind of like something that can be recorded and compared to someone else in a way of competition. I think it makes sense to make it more standard.
Yeah. We also got some interesting raid clarifications on cross-realm mythics. Formerly, at a very late point in the tier, the mythic raid could be opened up to cross-realm players, and now Blizzard is making it go faster and having the time frame be dictated when the top 100 and Horde guilds, two separate, so 200 guilds total, have defeated Mythic Gahoon. Then the very next reset, cross-realm mythic rating will open up. So the progression of the community will determine when it's coming, as opposed to like, oh, and well, in the next major patch, we must do this.
I like that.
Yeah, of course, there's a lot of talk about the faction imbalance, but that's a whole, separate thing of, oh, well, like this faction will get their 100 way faster than the other faction.
Well, I think he specified that both factions have to get 100 before they make it cross-realm. So
yeah,
I think it's
so people
okay.
are saying, I think people are like, oh, well, what happens if Horde gets it like 2 months before Alliance?
Oh, well, then everyone's server change or faction change to get it too. I think this is a great incentive to make it more balanced across the factions, to be honest. So because I think for over the years, it's been very heavily Horde based to compete. And I think there's a lot more guilds that are trying for top 100 than there is for, guilds trying for top 3. So in this sense, maybe more people will actually be inclined to play as an alliance race or faction, because they're more likely to get this achievement, which is pretty cool. So I think it's great to give additional incentives to keep both factions kind of more balanced. I like it.
Yeah. So we also learned some stuff about artifacts. One, the artifact traits are going away in the pre-patch. But we learned that the relics are not going away. The relics obviously will not boost traits, but with the relics, it will still increase the item level of your weapon, and that's how it's going to be working in Battle for Azeroth. And the coolest thing by far was that they explained transmog for artifacts some more, and everything is still spec specific, but there was concern that, as a holy paladin, you had this two-handed mace and usually use a sword and a shield, and so can you never have this artifact appearance? And they said, we will make it so your spec can, transmog to the artifact regardless if it's the, equivalent weapon type or not, which I think is really cool. Like that explains like the fire mage, if you have a staff, you can still use the one-handed sword. The holy paladin, the feral druids have these, fists, but, most of the time they have like a stat stick, like a staff on their back. So I think that's a welcome change. They still didn't totally clarify how the druids can use their druid forms, but, hopefully something's on the way.
You mean like the artifact specific ones?
Right, yeah.
I think it would probably be tied to whether you're able to transmog it, right? So if you're able to transmog your feral weapons, then you will probably get the form with that.
Right. But how do you get the tint of the form? So, your feral, you could say, okay, I want the feral weapon, this variant, but then I'm like, okay, well, I think the daggers, the feral daggers, there aren't very many colors. There's not like 30 colors of them. So it's like, how do you determine which of your druid forms, druid tints you want? Because many are associated with each color of the actual weapon.
Isn't that with every class in that case as well? Because there's multiple tints for every weapon.
No, it's different because I think for the druids, like every skin is one color. Like there's not as much variation with the weapon. So if you say, hey, I want the purple version of Fangs of Ashamine, it's like, okay, well the dagger, the purple dagger is associated with like 8 different druid
I see what you mean. Okay. So the weapon actually doesn't change. It stays the same.
Yeah, so there's some extra UI for the forms.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can see it soon.
Okay. Well, I'm curious how it will look like for other classes too, or do you know already? Because like if you have like a staff of 4 different colors, does it have 4 different names?
I will have to check that out. I think I'm not sure, like maybe you have to go pick a tint in your class hole for the artifact, and then when you go to the transmogger, it picks that tint. I think it works that way, but I need to clarify that. That is a great point for me to look up after.
Okay. Because I think whatever way that is done, they will probably make something similar for druids. Maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. But yeah, I think that was really interesting because in the past I used to say, like, I think they're going to make it so that you could use any weapon with any spec, because, you know, what if you're playing like destruction, but what if you're not using a staff? What if you're using a sword? Then, you know, to be nice, you could at least maybe use like the demonology weapon skin. But I think this makes more sense. I think this is very cool and really good idea that you're able to you know, pick the weapon of your spec regardless of what weapon type you're using. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. The final major point we learned about was with Azerite gear. We learned that the very top end Azerite gear will only come from sources that have weekly lockouts. So things like raids, the weekly conquest chest from PvP, and the weekly Mythic Plus chest. So they did it so you cannot spam farm Mythic Plus to get a chance at Azerite, or, you know, do 100 world quests hoping it procs the best chest, stuff like that. So they want you not to be killing yourself farming everything.
Yeah. I think that's pretty cool. I also find it interesting how they're trying to streamline everything. Like they mentioned on the Q&A, not just the weekly gear rewards, but also things like seasons, you know, trying to line up PvP with PvE as in raiding, and also PvE as in Mythic Plus, you know, trying to streamline all of that. I think that's pretty cool, because then the game feels more like, I don't know, clean and like making more sense to people.
Right, and it was very clear, like, oh, you know, the Mythic Uldir loot will line up with you know, this Mythic Plus affix at this specific keystone level when you get an increase. Like, it was very parallel.
Yeah, and speaking of the affix, that special one, which will be
infested
changed.
Gahoo.
Yeah. That's really interesting. So for those of you guys who, you know, didn't watch it and aren't sure what we're talking about, there's going to be a special affix which is live during the period of a season. So for example, for the first season, what we're going to have is I'm not sure what they called it, but some kind of parasite from Gahoon. Infested parasite, and the way that this one works is that it kind of clings on to different mobs, makes them more powerful, and when you kill the mob, the infested parasite kind of like runs away, you know, making way to the next target, and you could try to CC it and kill it before it reaches the next target, or the next target will be empowered. And I thought that's really cool. Like, it's a very special little, in a way, a little bit of a shout out to the raid, and makes the season be a bit more like tied to its season of what happened during that season. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of affixes we'll see in the future after that.
Yeah. So in addition to the Q&A and the pre-patch news, we got more details on Battle for Azeroth's launch, and this was kind of surprising because they are doing a global launch in all regions at the same time for the first time. And the way the scheduling works out, if you are in the United States, you can play it on August 13th. And, you know, Blizzard has been advertising this as August 14th, but, you know, Los Angeles, New York, that's going to be 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., you know, Pacific and Eastern time. And then Paris has the midnight 14th launch, which means that if you're in Sydney, you can actually play at 8 a.m. in the morning. So I'm wrapping my head around that whole thing. I was like, oh, I actually get to play it on the 13th. And but I mean, it should be fun for you, especially as a streamer, so you're not like, oh, I have to wait, like, you know, 9 hours to play Battle for Azeroth as the US people are playing it.
Yep. No, yeah, I think this is great, especially like you know, little competitions of leveling fastest and things like that will become a lot more interesting with this kind of more what's the word, a unified time across all regions. I think that's a lot more interesting in a competition sense as well. And if they're going to continue with that for raid tiers as well, that would also be really interesting. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so it's not like, oh, EU has to start behind and then
like 24 hours later. Yeah. It's like US have killed 5 bosses on Mythic, but I mean, EU hasn't been released yet, so we'll see.
Right.
I think it'll be interesting to see if they change that too.
Yeah. Speaking of all this high-end stuff we've been talking about, character copy is now available, so you can, you know, copy your own exact setups up to, you know, see how your character works as you're leveling. it up. Obviously that won't work for Mythic Plus and Raids. Your old gear will be obsolete by then, but you can start seeing how your own specs and setup fare as you're leveling and doing content along the way. And this was updated last week. This is on the beta, not the PTR yet. They still don't have 120 premates on the PTR. Sorry, on the beta as well. But, it's one step in the right direction to make things easier to test. And you can also test things like your collections, and if you're, how your character looks in Battle for Azeroth, if there's any little model tweaks, so stuff like that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been waiting to have the character copied, so I think this was pretty welcomed news for people.
Yeah. We got some allied race news. We have gotten the Cool Tyrann Druid Flight Form. And it has 4 tints, and it looks very cool. And the one missing form is the Boomkin form.
Yeah, we have covered all of them. So Flight Form here, and previously we covered the Feral form, the Guardian form, the Travel form. So only Boomkin to go.
Yeah. Which color is your favorite?
From this one, the flying one?
Flight. Yeah.
Oh, wait, let me open it up again so I don't say a color that doesn't actually exist. What's your favorite?
I think I like the reddish one because it reminds me of autumn leaves.
Oh, okay, let me open them. Let me take a look. Oh, the sort of brownish one?
Yeah, the first one.
I like blue.
Sass likes blue.
Sass likes the blue. I think I like that one as well, the first one you mentioned, this sort of reddish brown. It does kind of remind of fall, autumn. It looks really pretty. I do think that the white kind of reminds of an albino version, which also looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
The sort of white-yellow version. I think that's the one that's showing on stream right now. I think that one looks pretty cool too.
Yeah, they're all kind of seasonal, so the green one could be spring, and the white, I don't know, could be summer, and the kind of dead-looking one could be winter.
The dead-looking one.
I like the dark one. Like, yeah. The leaves are dead. They're not alive-looking.
It's funny, because if you think about it, the white one could be winter because of white snow.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, depends how you look at it.
Yeah. And in not an allied race news, Blizzard had to clarify that blood trolls are not an allied race because there was this like little IGN E3 panel, and it was said like, oh, the blood trolls look really cool, like maybe you can play them at some point. And the person was clarified, he later misspoke, and he meant that the Zandalari trolls are cool and we could play them at some point, which makes much more sense because the blood trolls are, they're kind of the bad guys in this situation. Yeah. It wouldn't make sense to have Zandalari and blood trolls and like, all these troll races, especially when Blizzard is like being hesitant about other things like high elves when we already have void elves. So blood trolls are evil. They're not planned as an allied race.
It's actually funny that it happened. It's like you see it officially on the video and then like a clarification like, the interviewers have a lot of, phrases and words and things to keep track of, wrong things can be said. So have to clarify that blood trolls are not confirmed as an allied race. It was pretty funny when I saw that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it makes sense. I think for the most part, blood trolls have been portrayed as pretty evil. So it would be strange if... but you never know. Maybe something happens. Maybe they do end up becoming an allied race.
Yeah, we redeem them after Uldir.
Very possible. Very possible. Going on to other updates, we have some new models to show you guys. We have some new rewards shown from Island Expeditions. And so most of these are weapons. A lot of them are unused colors of weapons from Mists of Pandaria, from Throne of Thunder, and is it Mogshan Vaults?
Yeah, there's a few from like Zulaman, Terrace of Endless Spring. There's even some from PvP, or like colors that were never used in these instances, but look like they're troll themed. And there's 4 new models, and there is the most interesting one, I think, is if you play Mists of Pandaria, the Shot Touch weapons, the first step of the legendary quest line, and there was Jinya, which was corrupted, and now there's the uncorrupted version. that we
Mm-hmm.
can pick up.
I thought
And
that was really interesting as well. I'm gonna show the picture of the
yeah,
corrupted one right here. It's a screenshot from an in-game moment that I found on one of the Wowhead pages that someone had submitted, and then the new version that we have here is like this.
yeah,
So it's like an uncorrupted version of it, which is really cool because it really takes
yeah.
us back to how it was back then when you got weapons and all sorts of things that were corrupted, and here you have like the sort of the light in the shadows that just came up.
I think that it fits really well to have the recolors getting a home from Islands, because Islands introduces us to a lot of storylines and characters from past expansions. For example, like the Mogu is on the island, like the Black Dragonflight is there. I think the Infinite Dragonflight is there. So it adds like some thematic sense why you are getting these types of weapons from the islands. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's some Cataclysm PvP ones, and it's like, oh well, the Dragonflights are on the islands, and that's
Yeah, that's a good
Cataclysm.
point. Mm-hmm.
And I really like the troll ones from Throne of Thunder, especially the ones that were meant to be in Throne of Thunder, but Blizzard didn't put that weapon type in for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the Plundered Troll Ceremonial Basher, which is very detailed and looks like a raid weapon. We've never seen it before. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with these in general. Islands at first didn't have many rewards and they seemed kind of meh, but we've been getting more stuff with them, which is making them seem more interesting. And like they're not very hardcore like esports leaderboards, so I think that having fun rewards like transmog appeals to the type of person that wants to do a few just fun islands casually.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of transmog, I just realized they never talked about whether we're gonna have a new transmog achievement.
No, we don't have anything with that yet.
No. I remember when the transmog achievements were just announced, I got them as I logged in. Like I just
Yeah, they were
'cause they
kind
were
of easy.
they were pretty easy to get, and we haven't had any updates since.
Right.
Never thought
I
about
got that
that.
too logging in. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Time for some questions to Wowhead devs. I mean, not Wowhead, sorry, Warcraft. Like, I'll send it over to SAS. Like, hey,
Yeah, Sass,
no,
answer this question.
that's not where I'm
Um,
supposed to do that. But yeah,
did you do you have any pictures of the shoulders, or I'm not it's okay if we don't, but just as a quick note, there's something called the plundered. There are BOE shoulders, and they all sound like Vrykul shoulders. So we've got the Shovel Tusk hide, the Runecaster's mantle, the Dragon Rider, and the Jalarbron. And
mm-hmm.
a lot of people are like, oh, I want Vrykul transmog, and we found these helms from Treasure Chest a few weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like now we have shoulders. So slowly getting the outfit. They are BOE, so you can collect these.
Yeah, I don't have the pictures here,
Okay, that's fine.
but hopefully that's okay. You can always check out the post if you want to for this show, where all the links and everything will be visible.
Oh, look, Pepe is on this show. Hi, Pepe.
Pepe is visible. Yep.
Yeah, there's Pepe. And we will talk about what Pepe is wearing towards the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
As for other new models, we got an updated water elemental model, and in the past we've talked about an updated earth and fire elemental model, so now there's water. The first version was a little low res and looked like he had feet, which was very funny. Thank you for all the Reddit memes, but the high resolution version does not really have feet, but he still looks very cool.
Yeah, I agree. I like the water
Um,
mental model.
yeah.
Speaking of
Uh,
other models, we
yeah, this
have
was popular.
yeah, we have a really interesting one coming up. The original Night Elf armor from the cinematic seems to now be in game. Let me first remind you guys of how the picture looked like in the cinematic. Right there. Looks beautiful, by the way.
Yeah.
Not just the armor, but the whole picture looks beautiful. And these are the armor that we are starting to see appear in the game.
So these are currently worn by some Night Elf archers. You can see them around the Undercity in the battle. They were wearing kind of clunky armor before, and now they're updated. And it's really elaborate down to the little details, like the necklace they're wearing with the little moons on them. And they've also made a version for guides, which was not in the cinematic, and it's pretty faithful, to they're both showing equal amounts of skin, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, who would have thought mail armor
yeah.
that shows so much skin?
As a note, we're still missing the shoulders from the male armor, but that doesn't really change a lot. And of course the question is, wow, this is really detailed and unique. Do you think that we could be getting heritage armor coming to other races besides allied races? So, maybe this is a interesting first step.
I think it definitely, yeah, I think it definitely opens up the possibility even more. Because this was definitely not a change that was needed. So it's an interesting thing that does open up some hope. And I think we also had some updates to some of the other guards, right? Some other races.
They weren't as exciting, but yeah, they were updated. They, they look like guards. They've got higher resolution, blue guard armor and tabards. Yay!
I mean, imagine being a night elf and then you get this armor. I think it looks amazing.
Yeah, maybe that will be coming as like a sorry for Cheldersil thing. Like you get to try out this armor first.
Interesting. Like a sort of consolation thing. I guess we'll see.
You served
you've suffered so much.
Valor, take this. You have earned this armor as a sign of appreciation. Personal gift from Chandra's Feathermoon, something like that.
Maybe. That makes it kind of sad at the same time.
I know. It's really rough having to cover this every week and be like, let's see what Telderson looks like. And I'm like, no, I love playing a night elf. Yeah. I hate having to cover this. So, but in less, I guess this news also was leading to a lot of high feelings. Some of the mounts have new rewards for achievements, and people are like, hey, I like this new one better than the old one, or the old one better than the new one. So let's start off with the least controversial one, because they're just brand new. We have some new PvP rewards. We've got Sir Snips and Bucket Shell, who are Alliance and Horde rewards. They're dressed up crabs. For honor level 400, we don't know how long honor level takes and how much it converts to prestige, but it will be faster to get honor than it will be prestige. So, you can get honor level 400 this expansion. And then honor level 500 is the prestigious Bloodforged Courser, which is the unicorn again, but he's wearing scarier armor and has flaming feet.
Scarier armor, flaming feet. Yeah, I think wait, sorry, I didn't mean to remove the mount so quickly. I think the mount actually looks amazing. I really like it. The pet's also pretty cute. Having a Alliance and a Horde version is pretty cool. I am a little bit concerned though, because I feel like 500 is max honor, right?
Yeah, that's the top achievement.
Yeah, and I feel like before, at some point, it was said that they would not add any new rewards to not make people feel like they need to farm a lot more. I think they said something about loot boxes that wouldn't be that important with not important loot.
Changed.
Yeah, and now they have this, so it's like, what if you didn't farm that much prestige, like in Legion? Does that mean you have to farm extra much the next expansion?
Right.
Like, it kind of worries me.
How long it will take, because everyone was like, oh, I only hit prestige, 20 in Legion, is on level 500. Like, do I have to play through, 10 more expansions to get this? Or is it faster? Nobody really seems to have a handle on how long that takes.
And what if you never did the 20?
Right.
Like, then you've got even more to catch up with.
Yep.
So I'm actually kind of concerned about that, because I'm one of those people who did not farm 20. And does this mean I'm going to have to farm a ridiculous amount? Like, where do they balance it, right? Do they balance it towards people who did the farming? Do they balance it towards the people who did not do the farming? Something in between?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine a lot of hardcore arena players are not like, oh, I must grind this to get, my, bucket shell pet, So I'm not really sure they're interested in, high arena rating goes along with battle pet crab.
Those crabs are actually so cute.
I know, the Horde one just says, the Alliance one has a nice little tuft, and the Horde one's just like, no, I'm a bucket.
Yeah. So this one is the Alliance one. And this one is the Horde one.
Yeah.
Quick reminder. Moving on to other mount rewards.
This one is a little more controversial.
With a bit more controversy. Yep, indeed. We can start with the 400 mounts achievement. So if you were watching before, or if you've read the news and, kept up with what's going on, this was originally mentioned as the 400 mounts reward. The what a lot of people call the Redheart steed. Basically, the mount model that we were given for playing Hearthstone some years ago, but a sort of red version of it. People were a bit skeptical even with this one, because it's just a reskin of an old mount. But I did think that it looked a lot better than the old one, so I was like, it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's not too
and they
bad.
fixed the glow effects, so it was super red, which I think makes it look more badass.
It actually looks really good right now in this picture that you can see. But they changed it, so what you now get for 400 mounts is this one. And this has raised a lot of concerns for me as well. Like, I'm not sure I'm happy with this one. First of all, it's a ground mount only. So we kind of lost the flying possibility, which the Redheart Steed mount actually did have. And it also feels a little bit of a downgrade if you compare it to the 250 Fell Firehawk, which is of similar color, of kind of model, but not exactly model, but a flying version. So in that sense, I'm actually a little bit disappointed. How do you feel, Perk?
So at first, because I really like birds and I don't have one of the mounts of that model, even though I've been trying for it, I was like, oh, I can get like one of the models of that. So
like the Raven Lords?
Yeah. So I mean, I have the Raven Lord, but I don't have like the neon purple or the neon orange one. So I first was like, oh, like that's cool. Like, Blizzard has upgraded the model to look like, it's similar to rare mounts as opposed to the super common Hearthsteed. But then I also thought about it and I said, hey, well, it would be really cool if this could fly. And I was never super offended by the Sky Stallion. I thought Blizzard was being clever, saying, okay, well, who cares if it's the same model? It's flashy, just like Invincible is technically the celestial, shop pony. And but no one's like, oh, I hate Invincible. People are like, oh, it's a cool tint of it. But I do think I like the Frenzied Bell Talon existing. I just think it would maybe make sense if that was like the 350 reward. And then there should be a flying mount somewhere in there.
Yeah, because this makes it 2 ground mounts as well, right? Like both of the new mount rewards are ground mounts, and
unless
that also makes you feel
more in the future, and then it's like, oh well, we'll introduce this new collectible achievement when flying is active. Because we also learned at the Q&A that you won't be getting flying right at the start of battle for Azeroth. So maybe that means that they'll have some reward that's a flying mount when that's a better point in the expansion.
I guess that's possible, but honestly, in the way that they've been introducing mount achievements, I feel like they try to be pretty not too hard on people, and 450 mounts is a lot of mounts, so I'm not sure if they would go there for BfA.
Right.
I guess
maybe
we'll see.
Could be maybe the reward when you get Pathfinder. Like there's always a flying mount tied to Pathfinder.
That's a good point.
Although it does look kind of Horde, so I don't know if that would go along with the whole faction thing. But I mean, it would be sad to not use the Tempestuous Sky Stallion anywhere, because Blizzard has changed the particle effects a few times. Like in early builds, it was red but blue sparkles, and now it's red with red sparkles. So it would be sad if they did this work to improve it and now you can't use it. And I don't care if it's the Hearthstone mount. I think the wings look really cool. The nice spectral wings. I think they're awesome. So it would be cool to see this in game.
I think sure, it is a reskin, but it looks cooler than the original, a lot cooler. It sticks out a lot more, and it flies as well. So I think it was nice I was hoping that it would be more of a 350 reward than 400, but it was still nice. With this,
that's everyone wants the Lucid Nightmare, and no one's like, oh, it's the Paragon RNG thing. They're like, oh, it's the Lucid Nightmare. I did this cool thing for it.
Yeah. I think another thing with the new one is that I'm not a big fan of the color.
Oh, I mean, I'm okay with the color, but is it too like green, like just
Yeah.
bright green?
Yeah. Like it doesn't look cool. I don't know. Like what if
I think the purple
is
one
there
has
a
some
red
like
version?
depth to it. There isn't. There's just these three colors, and they were all added in Cataclysm. So we're finally getting the third one now.
Oh, wait, this model was added back then but just never used.
Yeah, so it's the recolor of the one from Firelands. So they were all read at the same time, and one was in Firelands, and then the purple one got added in Warlords, and now we're finally getting the Feltalon.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, that's a good point. The fiery one is kind of reddish. So that's true. Maybe the red would like look too similar to that in that case. But I was just imagining like if we had this mount, but it was more of a sort of red, like dark red, you know, almost like a red blackish,
Right.
kind of like an evil version. I think that would look pretty cool.
I think seeing this picture of some of them side by side, the red one has more like very pronounced tints to it, the fiery parts, and even the purple one, but the green is just sort of like, hey, look, I'm bright green. So maybe the contrast between the bits could be a different color or more pronounced.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. But yeah, speaking of another mount reward, which has been changed, I'll show you guys the old version first, as I did previously. This was the old reward for getting 100 exalted reputations. This is a mount that we showed you guys, I believe, 2 weeks ago, and it is quite similar to the guild reward mount, or I'm not sure if it's a guild reward, but it's some kind of guild
it's
achievement.
something tied. Yeah, you can purchase it from a guild vendor.
That's it. That's it. It was pretty similar to that, but I thought like, hey, it still looks pretty sweet, so it's all right. It looks cute. The new one that's been announced now is this one. What's the name of it? I forgot the name of it.
It's the Pure Heart Courser.
Pure Heart Courser. I like it.
Yeah, I am totally okay with this one.
Yeah.
I think that the unicorns are still very prestigious. There's only the Lucid Nightmare and the Paragon one, which is unarmed. And I'm okay with it being a ground mount because, you know, this is about reputations. And when you're doing reputations, you're like running around and talking to people on the ground. And it's not a specific mount achievement. It's, you know, just factions and being friendly. So I'm okay with it. I think it looks really pretty.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty. It's I can imagine this mount being in very pretty screenshots with like amazing sort of view over some icy areas. I like it. I like it. I'm a lot happier with this change than with the other change.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Like maybe the Spectral Phoenix was a totally different color, but it's really hard when the guild mount is like purple and this one is like purple but more transparent.
Yeah.
It's a harder sell.
Yeah, they felt a bit similar, but I gave it the benefit of the doubt though. I was like, it's okay. It looks awesome anyways in the pictures, and I was waiting to like use it in game to see how it felt. But I'm okay with this change. This mount doesn't fly, does it?
No.
These models, no. So
Yeah,
it's another kind of like lose the flying capability. Which isn't too bad at the beginning of expansions because normally the areas that you play you can't fly anyways.
Right, and you can just AFK and look cool, and you know Bareilles Rezules are.
Yeah, but I want some new cool flying mounts.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're still not found yet.
Maybe there's still hope out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but moving on from the mounts, one of my favorite topics, we move on to Island Expedition. What is it? Oh yeah.
Island Expeditions.
Okay.
So we covered the weapons before under the model section. There's a lot of new weapons.
That's what confused me. I was like, wait, Island Expeditions again? Then I was like, wait, of course, this was the other part of Island Expeditions. So for this part, we're covering some of the rewards, or no, not the rewards, the different pets that you can find there.
Yeah, so if you collect all 28 of these, you get a special achievement. We're not sure exactly how you get them yet, but some of them are really funny. So for example, Poro, and his flavor text is Poro cannot fly but enjoys a long lifespan, hopping along the ground and shaking the fruit from trees. And Poro's model is a gigantic green parrot that cannot fly, and it's based on the kakapo, which is an endangered species in New Zealand, and then you can donate to them. There's only like 200 left in the world. And it's a very cute bird.
It's the one showing right now on the screen.
Yeah.
And for those of you guys who have a lot of experience on Twitch with emotes and similar, it's the model that you guys see when you type rare parrot. I'm not sure if that's an emote that's available. I think it's only available if you use Beta TV. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it's that parrot. It's that one. The one. And you can also see some other pets here. For example, I believe this one is the octopode fry.
Yeah. Very cute. It's like a little baby pink octopus. Happy.
Yeah.
And there's Inky, which is another little baby octopus. And then there's skeletal monkeys. There are pets representing all expansions. For example, there is a goat. There is a trickster spirit from Mr. Pandaria. There is a Vorukar that was fighting the Lich King. There are worms. There are more hatchlings, wind serpents. So there are 28 pets in total, and they all look pretty cool.
An achievement for collecting them all.
Yep. And speaking of achievements, a lot more Island Expedition achievements have been added, including one called the Expedition Leader, which rewards the title Expedition Leader. And this achievement makes you do lots of things. You need to, defeat all of them on normal and heroic and mythic difficulty. You have to collect certain amounts of Azurite energy. Loot seafarers' doubloons, which are used to purchase the consumables, rescue a bunch of explorers, actually win them, do a bunch of quests, including some that send you to Rathian, collect all the pets. You need to do 50 in PvP mode, and you need to defeat the enemy team, all of the champions. So lots of, some more incentives to do more islands there. So this next topic is something which has been causing a lot of confusion. Blizzard said they purposely didn't explain this topic because they wanted to see if it was confusing or not, but it's how do you actually unlock Warfronts, and like what can you do at what point of the Warfront. And I feel there's a lot of confusion because everyone thinks war and they think it's PvP, but there's no PvP involved, and the actual Warfront is like a very small percentage of the actual time spent doing stuff. So we've clarified how this works, and we're just going to call them Faction 1 and 2. So first, to do anything with Warfronts, you have to be 120 and also do some of the introductory war campaign quests. And then once you do so, so we're going to pretend that Faction 1 is already controlling Arathi. That faction can do a world boss, it can fight rare spawns for these toys and pets, and it can do world quests there. And then Faction 2 will have a prompt in the capital city to make a contribution. And you can get a ton of Azurite artifact powered for your Heart of Azeroth, and lots of good rewards for these turn-ins. When you've reached 100%, the first faction is being told that, hey, time's running out on this Warfront. You're going to get kicked out soon. While Faction 2 can then do a short quest line and actually do the Warfront. And you don't lose the Warfront. Like, if you are attacking, you win. So doing the Warfront is a whole nother guide. But once you are victorious, then Faction 2 can do the world boss and all that stuff in Arathi, while Faction 1 is then doing all the contributions like, collecting gold and resources and profession stuff for the turn-ins. And then Faction 1 no longer has access to doing stuff in Arathi. And they just keep going back and forth. So each faction gets a shot at the unique content in Arathi to do.
I've got a little shot here of one of the world bosses, Doom's Howl. Is it Howl? Am I saying it right? Okay. I wasn't sure.
build up the resources, it makes sense that the world boss is the, enemy siege tank. So you're trying to stop the siege tank from knocking down the warfront.
I think my I've had a little USB issue as of lately, and I think it just hit me now. So my camera is completely frozen. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I believe stream is still up and going. Can you guys confirm?
Yeah, her webcam is frozen.
I just now heard.
Okay. So she's curious what's up with the stream, if the image is...
We can still hear her.
We can still hear you on the stream.
Okay.
Apparently.
Let's
So
see
we
if this
just
fixes
see
it.
this lovely Doom's Howl up.
Oh, because the transition. Here, I'll show you now that I'm frozen. I could see because I'm in studio mode, so I could still see my camera, but it's frozen. I'm gonna try to fix it here in the background as we continue, and for now you'll just see a frozen me.
Yeah, no, it's frozen. Now we see you frozen.
Yeah, that's really weird.
I'm moving around. You can see Pepe dancing, but you're frozen.
Mm-hmm. All right, you can jump into the next topic as I try to fix this.
Sure. So just as a reminder for transition up of Warfronts, we do have guides to Warfronts. Warfronts are not actually PvP. There's a whole other guide to actually going through the Warfront campaign. But hopefully this makes more sense with the cycle of who can do what stuff in Arathi when. So let's see. The next part we kind of already covered in the Q&A. I wrote the notes, then Blizzard did the Q&A. But just to recap, for Mythic Plus changes, this build added no gear swaps. We confirmed that was true. We learned more about the new weekly affix. We learned, like, hey, there's something called Infested, and there are 4 up on the screen instead of 3, and we learned that that's intended. The seasonal one is always there, and then the other 3 rotate at the levels which we expect them to. And there's also a new weekly best screen. I'm not sure if Annie is able to pull this up, but it's in the linked Wowhead post. And, it looks nice. Yeah. It seems like Blizzard, they did Island screen recently, and now this one they're trying to, just make the screens look more polished in general.
There we go. People should see it now.
Yep. So nothing too much to say that we didn't cover before, but, we observed these things and we were curious if they were intended, and Blizzard confirmed they were. As a reminder, Tyrannical and Fortified are now down to level 2, so you'll always have them on, chance of one of them on any key. And Tank Threat has also changed. Threat has been reduced by around 66%. And this means that high bursty classes and specs will have to watch their threat on new mobs that join the fight, so this will be more apparent in AoE situations instead of single target. There is trash in dungeons that also completely drop threat, so definitely be aware of that. Hey, welcome back. Yay. Oh no. Oh yeah, you are muted.
Perk could hear me, but not you guys. I was saying I'm back. Hello everyone.
Yay.
And I gave a quick explanation of what happened.
Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, it's not very important. Important thing is that we're back and things are working again as it should.
Yeah. So this next part on zones is interesting because I just was looking at the page and Blizzard removed one of the achievements, so that was kind of interesting.
But really?
Yeah, so apparently there is there's an achievement called, where was it? It was something with a dive bar, and you would visit dive bars underground, and there were these secret lairs with Tortolan bartenders, and they all did funny things, and they all sold really funny drinks, and apparently the achievement was removed in the last build, but I think that the dive bars are still there, and they look really funny. Like, you have these like little faceless ones dancing around. There are drinks called like the Dark Below, which was the joke, or like the Burning Black Beverage, Sunken Pylon, Golden Sunrise, Shark Bite, Toil and Trouble. So just really funny locations, and they're all hidden underground. You have to like go and have to like through these interesting caves just like hidden in various places. One of them has a disco ball. One of them is a drunk druid being like, "Oh, I just learned how Furion sent word that the Burning Legion is attacking the Broken Shore." There is a Genji and Hanzo mushrooms references in one of the bars. So we're not sure why that was removed. We even got one user left super detailed comments that you find all of them, but hopefully it will return. There's also a bunch of like just funny drinks in general, like a sausage martini, or like bijou on the beach. Just fun drinks. There's a lot of bars in Bareilles, and that achievement's still there, but I'm not sure why the underwater achievement was removed.
Maybe something is being edited. Maybe something was wrong.
Right. I know of some weird thing, like, I know with Brewfest in Europe, there are some restrictions on achievements that people can do, so I don't know if it's related to that. Maybe you don't have an achievement to visit alcohol. I'm not sure.
Wait, so there were certain achievements that could not be done because of alcohol?
Yeah, like I thought you couldn't, like you couldn't do an achievement to get drunk in locations and then get an Elec plus the Elec or something like that.
Oh,
like
maybe.
I know for Brewfest, the US can do more stuff than EU for that.
I had no idea. Interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, not sure why that was removed. I'll definitely have to ask about that. But this was not removed. In the basement of the hedge maze in Bareilles, which is a really pretty place, we've covered it a lot, how it's like, oh, there's a tea party now, and there are flowers, and this and that. The Proudmoore cadets from the nearby Naval Academy are in the basement playing D&D. And they have really funny sayings like, I've told you before, a bard isn't a class. The tree is not vulnerable to fire effects. I lit the candle. Don't spill your ale on my character sheet. And there are just 4 of them hanging out in the basement playing, and above them their teachers are like, we don't know where they went to. Where did they go? And that's just another fun detail. Everyone loves seeing the Bareilles updates because it's always really fun seeing what happens in Bareilles. They keep adding these little very human touches.
And this place was kind of, I think the entrance was kind of hidden, or was
it? So they have a few cellar entrances, and they look fairly obvious, but this one, it's hidden behind a tree, so you don't see it at first. It's overgrown. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool that they have different references in the game, and now, for all Dungeons and Dragons fans, now you have your own reference there as well. You could go there and roleplay that you're playing as well.
Yeah, we didn't put it in the notes or we have pictures of it, but there's other little updates, like, I don't think it's in Sweden, but there are some like fancy design shops like Pier 1 and Crate and Barrel, and now they are shops in Battle for Azeroth in Bareilles. So the Pier 1 shop has a lot of like pottery and pillows, and that's what the shop is known for. And then Crate and Barrel is barrel and crate, and there's just a lot of like bags you can buy from the NPCs. So it's fun how they're adding all that stuff in.
Yeah, definitely.
I
think that's it for
that's it for zones, really.
Yeah, I think we're moving on from models and zones and moving to broadcast texts, which reminds me that I need to add the spoiler tag. So let me get that up just a sec, because I need to actually put the image in.
Yep.
We have quite a few things that are, well, I guess some of the stories are not necessarily spoiler related, but I was thinking of things that are coming up after the broadcast texts.
Yeah, like a bit of lore to cover today. Might be the Windrunner comic. I don't know if that would be, but like one of the before the storm things might be a spoiler.
All right, spoiler tag is up. So if you don't want any spoilers, this is the time to mute your stream. If you're wondering like what is spoiler, it is basically things that may reveal things in the lore which has not happened yet, and you may want to enjoy those things as they happen in the game when the game is released. So that's it. So the first piece of text that we are going to look at is about Sylvanas and her concerns about Teldrassil or Darnassus being used for Azerite.
Right. So this answers one question as to why she was attacking the region, but then it raises more questions when we learn what she wanted to do in Teldrassil.
Because we still don't really know exactly what caused the burning.
Right. So the issue here is that she says that she thinks that she wants to control Teldrassil as a port city so the Alliance can't use it to get Azerite from Silithus, and she plans to occupy it, not burn it down. And to break the will of the people, her goal is to kill Malfurion.
Mm-hmm.
Which doesn't sound like someone wanting to burn the city down.
No.
She wants to, rule over it.
Mm-hmm. You can see her words here. It says, the Dark Lady narrows her eyes, and then she says, Malfurion Stormrage must die. That's when she realizes, or that when she, expresses knowing that Malfurion is a very important figure, and if they get Malfurion down, it will put the people in a sort of weak spot where she wants them to be. But somehow this led to Teldrassil burning, and the question is still, how did that happen?
Right. I mean, it ends at the total opposite, where Teldrassil is burning, and Malfurion, she almost finishes him off, and Sourfang won't kill him. Like, how is he's still alive, but the city is burning. That's the exact opposite of what she wanted.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it still sounds pretty evil to be like, okay, well, I'm paranoid that the Alliance was it for Azerite, and Anduin, who's super into peace, is going to decide to start attacking the Horde with this Azerite, because, Anduin loves attacking things, which doesn't make sense. So I will then kill their leader, so I can then use this Azerite for my own purpose. It still sounds a bit kind of paranoid.
It still definitely sounds like she wants power, and she wants control and power. She doesn't want anything to come in her way, which is things that we've seen her in other situations as well. But we still don't know for sure that it's her fault, though, that Teldrassil is burning. So that is still open for us to see.
Yeah, maybe it's not her fault.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was a rogue Horde person, or maybe the Alliance would prefer to burn the tree instead of having her take it over and defile it. We don't know.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What if it's that? What if it's like, everyone's already dead and gone, and we don't want the Horde to have it, so we're just going to burn it? Who knows? Right.
The other broadcast text we got was about the Mag'har orcs again and the Draenei. This time we have more incidental dialogue. Doesn't really reveal anything new about the plot. But what I thought was particularly interesting, there were a few phrases. One was, I think AR talking about how they worked together and then how it fell apart. And it seems to be the fault of the Naru. Because she says, as a child, Draenei scholars taught me how to read and write. I liked them, respected them. Then the Naru came and fanaticism took hold. The Draenei were reborn. No, they have a different word for it, reforged in their precious light. Their belief blinds them, binds them to masters who seek to control the universe as surely as the Legion did. Draenei, Eredar, so willing to bend the knee, so prone to corruption. And that makes me think, was this like the equivalent of Zira, showing up, and the equivalent of whatever she was trying to do to Illidan? Like, she purified these Draenei and they were open to it, and then they kind of became terrible.
Yep. It's kind of sad to see. It's like, well, it's good for us to see. It gives a bit of perspective. Makes us understand how things weren't bad to begin with, but then how do you say that word? Fanaticism.
Yeah, fanaticism.
Fanaticism that took over, and she no longer likes them.
Yeah, and I mean it makes it be a little better how it's not like, oh, like Yrel is evil. It's like, oh, well, if we can blame this on like a Naru's fault or Zira's fault, how like they're trying to brainwash the Draenei, then it seems more sense. Yeah, that seems more sympathetic. But yeah, it is sad. It's like after more relatable. All this work, like, in this alternate timeline, like stuff still just doesn't work out. Like people just go back to hating each other, and somebody gets brainwashed by the Naru, and first we worried about the Draenei wanting power, so they went to the, Fel, and now they're going to the light, and it's really driving home that the light is not this totally benevolent source, which we'll learn more in the Windrunner comic, I think. It's like everything can be evil in excess.
And considering this past of witnessing rather the Draenei being good and then becoming bad because of fanaticism, we can also see this quote. that says there are Draenei on this world. And Gayara narrows her eyes and then says, "Not for long." And it gives a perspective of showing how important it is, or how important it is to her, and realizing that the Draenei still exist on Azeroth makes her even more inclined to help the Horde to be against the Alliance. And yeah, like, is that fair, you think?
I mean, I don't think it's that fair, because I mean, the Grommash was trying to attack the Draenei. Like, that's how Warlords of Draenor started. He was trying to attack everyone and say, "Not for long, it's just all us." So I don't think she's being totally fair in this case. Like, when you start saying you want to obliterate one whole race, that doesn't seem, good. Because you could say, oh, like, there are orcs on this world, like, these were the corrupted orcs that drank the blood. Like, they're prone to doing something evil too. Like, we do horrible things in both timelines as well. So I think she's being a bit biased here. But you can see why she's saying that, especially if, I'm sure the Horde are not like, "Oh, but actually, Gayara, you must be nice to the Alliance." I'm sure everyone's like, yeah.
Yeah, no, if it's the story, well, so, if it helps them help the Horde more, then, so be it. And she says here, "The Alliance embraces the Draenei and their light-forged kin. That alone is reason to crush their cities to dust." So, in a way, it gives them, like, more reason, more motivation to fight the Alliance, which I guess is, good to have as a sort of, what would you call it, a togetherness in the faction.
Right. I guess that if she's grown up and all she's seen is the light slowly corrupting things, and even corrupting the land, and she just saw the other orcs killed and attacked by the Draenei, that she could be like thinking that in my existence the biggest threat I've ever seen is the light. Like that could be the equivalent of like our old gods or something. Like, all she's known as the light is this horrible over the top force. So you can maybe see how she's like, no, I want to get rid of any hint of it. Which, again, we'll see parallel in Windrunner when the voice like, "Oh, no, we hate Sylvanas, like, we hate everyone." But yeah, I think it is a bit, extreme, especially considering the history of the orcs in both timelines, stomping out the Draenei. It's like this parallel where the orcs are like, "Oh, Draenei are evil, let's kill them." And then it's like, "Oh, look, it's the same thing. Now she wants to kill the Draenei too."
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was basically with broadcast text. We have been data mining some interesting cinematics, though. One which we're not going to show because there's nothing much to see is about Darkshire and Sylvanas, and she's literally just standing looking at the tree, which, like, you don't really learn anything from this. You're like, well, did she do something to burn it, or is she surprised? But there's no dialogue. She's just standing there.
It does look pretty powerful, though.
It is powerful, and it looks like the artwork of the tree on fire and her standing in the center. But we did learn from this that the mysterious elf in the artwork lying on the side is the quest giver we get to know pretty well, Captain Delarin Summermoon. So she's off on the shore. And, she's obviously been killed, which is sad.
Yeah.
We don't know how. She seems really close to Sylvanas, so we don't know if she, like, made a mad dash or, like, did something to, I don't know, attack her or inadvertently set something off. But she's a mystery figure. Doesn't appear to be Verisa like people thought at first. It appears to be the new night elf that we were questing with. We did get some, though, with Catherine Proudmoore, which was interesting. One was when we've learned about this before, but basically she learns about Lady Ashvane's betrayal, and Lady Ashvane then blows up some Azerite and escapes, and Catherine has to realize that she was betrayed. So we get that, and then we also have the dialogue where, again, is convincing Catherine to hunt down Jaina, who was exiled to a really horrible, dangerous place, and Catherine has to face terms that, Lady Ashvane was evil, and while she may not see eye to eye with Jaina on some things, that Jaina is her daughter and she should take the chance and try to save her.
Should we play these?
Yeah, let's play them.
All right, let's jump into the first one.
The rumors are true. Daelin's gate has fallen. A pirate fleet struck the gate with overwhelming force.
Pirates? The Praemoors can't even protect us from pirates anymore!
For shame! Catherine Proudmoore has spent her life doing what's best for Kul Tiras. But it has not been enough. My dear friend Priscilla and I have discussed this. I believe that what is best for Kul Tiras is that I step down as Lord Admiral.
I will shoulder this heavy burden. I can only hope I will be a worthy successor.
Lady Ashvane has been my rock since those first dark days when we both lost our husbands. Now she will be the kingdom's rock. Now she is
A liar! So, this was your play all along. Despicable.
What is the meaning of this, girl?
Lady Priscilla Ashvane, you are under arrest for trafficking, conspiring with pirates, and high treason against the Admiralty of Kul Tiras. And we have evidence. Your company made the weapons that destroyed Dalen's Gate, using this. It's called Azerite, and the Alliance and Horde are already at war over it. You hired the pirate fleet, armed them to the teeth, and set them upon your own countrymen.
And I almost... Priscilla, how could you betray the kingdom? How could you betray me?
You're too weak to rule, Catherine. Your family has always been too weak. The Proudmoore legacy of failure dies with you!
Alright, that was the first video. Let me find the second video for you guys as well. So that was Proudmoore and Lady Ashvane. It was Proudmoore being told that Ashvane is actually going against her back and betraying her. As expected, Proudmoore is very disappointed. Oh, and we have Brightpaw in the camera as well.
Yep, we have our Brightpaw.
Yep.
Hello, big cat. He's enormous. He escaped from his cat carrier 2 days ago.
Oh, really?
Troublemaker. Yes.
Oh, wow.
He opened it from the outside. Brightpaw, no. Come on, baby. Be a good cat.
All right, let's jump into the next video, which is Catherine meeting with Gen. Is it Gen or Jen? I think it's Gen, right?
Yeah, Gen Greymane.
All right, let's go and watch that.
I don't know what to do, Dalen. I don't know what to believe in, who to trust. Priscilla, the greatest friend of my heart, has stabbed me in it. I've nothing. No one left.
You have Jaina.
Jaina betrayed the kingdom.
Jaina did nothing but follow her heart. And she suffered for that. She's suffering even more now, isn't she?
I see her in my dreams. Again. She's burning.
Catherine, she's calling out to you. You must go to her.
It's too late for that.
If you can hear her, then it's not too late. I would give anything to hold my boy again. You've been given one more chance. Take it. Bring her home.
And that was that video. So we can see that Gen is, trying to convince Proudmoore that it's not too late, that she should go and find Jaina and help her and, reunite together.
Which is interesting because he was like, he's very much like always like angry and looking to start things, and he seems to be getting more chill in this expansion, which is odd because you think he'd be all about war and like escalating tensions and everything, but he's just like, put Ashvane behind you and focus on your daughter, and I would give everything to see my son again.
Yep. Showing a bit of emotion there.
Yeah. Oh, Bright Paws being so well behaved, aren't you?
Yeah, making a real appearance, not just for 1 second.
Yep. Did you want to show the Mag'har Orc one next? Or
Yeah.
did you want to? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we could go for the Mag'har Orc one.
So, like we were saying, yeah, I mean, it was like basically we're talking about how they escaped. I mean, to the broadcast text, and now this is what you see when you actually create the Mag'har Orc, which is the culmination of this whole story.
Strength and honor, blood and thunder. Mere words to others, but everything to us. We are the last survivors of a proud tribe. The uncorrupted. The unbroken. The Mag'har.
All right. And that was that video. We have one more video to show you guys. This last video is of Talanji getting some advice from a spirit form of Vol'jin.
Yep.
Is there anything you wanted to say before we jump into it?
Yeah, so the way the cutscene is announced, it makes it seem like, and the dialogue, it makes it seem like this will take place much later. It's called like 8.0 Darkspear Chapter 2, Leader. So to me, and they talk about defeating Uldir. So to me, this is not like a missing cutscene from questing or even Zandalar Forever. This is something that happens way, way, way in the future. Maybe this is even what we see when the Zandalari decide to join the Horde.
Let's jump into it.
Strength and honor, blood and thunder. Mere words to others, but everything to us. We are the last survivors of a proud...
Showed him, leader of
All right,
Zandalar. Show the blade to those that need to see it the most. Give them peace.
This was not my achievement.
You brought the champion to these shores against your father's will. You learned the secrets of Ga'Hoon when no one be listening. You set in motion what be needed to save your people. Now more than ever, they be calling for a leader they can love and trust. Show them the blade. Become the symbol they need.
Behold the blood of Ga'Hoon. By his will were born the deaths of Shadra, Hyrik, Toga, and Rezan. By his will were born the deaths of so many of our brothers and sisters. Let this glaive be displayed as a reminder that no matter how far we fall, no matter how much we lose, we are Zandalari. We adapt. We find a way to survive. If it were not for this hero of the Horde, our losses would have been far worse. This proves more than ever that it is time for us to adapt, to become part of the world again. Zandalar forever!
All right. So that was that video. I think it's always interesting also to notice how different NPCs or different factions speak differently. I always loved how trolls speak, and you see more of it here. And it was interesting how the Proudmoore became like, you know, the British sort of accent, which is kind of like, you know, seen as more posh. And then we got this one for the trolls. I think it's a really great way to like represent how they are and, you know, their lifestyle and everything. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do also want to say that I think this takes place later on, and something has happened because there's no King Rastakhan. It's Talanji is the one.
It's like
doing stuff.
It makes you wonder, like, what happened to the king?
Right. So when he died, when he was attacked previously, there was a deal with Bronsamdi to restore him to life, but there was the deal that he would, give his spear to Bronsamdi later on. And in Zandalar Forever, there's the reference like, "Oh, I'll help you, old man, but remember we had a deal." So you almost have to wonder if it's like, okay, well, Zul and Gahun are defeated, so now it's time for Rastakhan to go to the other, world. I'm super excited Vol'jin is back, though.
Yeah.
It's like Vol'jin is just this like little personal Loa giving her advice, which is kind of poignant considering when we first meet her, Razan is listening to her and helping her, and then he was killed, and now it's like, well, now she has Vol'jin helping her.
Yeah, I like the clip. I think it was really cool seeing Vol'jin there giving her advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it for cutscenes for us.
Yeah, there was a few more incidental ones, but these are the more important ones. So this next part, half of it isn't a spoiler and half of it is. Oh, sorry, Bright Paw, I need to pick up a book. Hey, can you pick up the book, Sass? So that no, stay, cat, good cat. Oh no, Bright Paw, don't be afraid of the book.
Oh, you have the book.
Yeah, it just came in today. So Before the Storm, launched on June 12th. Yeah. Oh, this is so nice. I said this all the time. Before the Storm launched on June 12th, and it covers Anduin and Sylvanas, going from the events of the 735 epilogue, all the way up to what happens before Teldrassil. And you can buy it online at Amazon, and it's also available in various bookstores. And Christy Golden is now a full-time staff at Blizzard, and she has weekly meetings with people like Taryn Gregory, other people on the story and quest team to make sure what she's doing has continuity in the actual game, so there's no weird overlaps, and it actually lines up really well. Like you can watch the 735 epilogue cinematics, and then you can watch the events being described in the novel with more details when Anduin and Sylvanas experiences Azerite for the first time. And there's a lot of other little references to like in-game NPCs or different quests that happen at various points in 735. So yeah, it's definitely worth a read. We have a more spoiler-centric article planned with Novel later this week. But the non-spoiler version now is that the book is out there. And I think it's doing really well on Amazon. Like I think it launched as I don't know, number 30. Christy Golden was number 30 for authors, which is, really high up.
Oh, yeah. That's actually really good.
There's also an audiobook, and the voice actor who voices Anduin was the one who did the narration, so that's pretty cool as well.
Oh, that's cool.
The more spoiler version, though, is that, so spoiler alert, people die in Before the Storm. It's still up. So basically the controversial moment is that there's this reconciliation between the families torn apart by Arthas, the members of the Desolate Council who want a peaceful death as a Forsaken. They're Sylvanas disagrees with them, but anyway, they meet with the surviving human members of their family, and complications occur. The families get along, but Sylvanas doesn't want them to meet. She sounds the horn to have them retreat. Some of them don't. Some of them want Kalia Menethil to take them so they can join the Alliance and always hang out with their family members. It gets really messy. She kills everyone in attendance, even the Forsaken returning to her. Not any of the humans, just the Forsaken. And in the epilogue of the novel, we see Anduin making graves for the fallen members of the Forsaken, and he buries them along with the surviving human family members. And now those graves are in Arathi Highlands, and they all have really touching tombstones. So, for example, Anduin gets this idea to have the reconciliation when one of his loyal servants is dying, and he's talking about wanting to see his wife again and not sure what has happened to her, and then it turns out the wife was turned into Forsaken, and this dying servant had no idea. And she is now one of the main characters, and her grave has a wedding ring and candles and a rose by it. And the saying, "Beloved wife of Wild Bit Benton, may you be reunited at last." So really sad thing. Someone else has a teddy bear. outside, and it's just really sad. And again, it makes you, it's like Anduin is the one making graves for these fallen Forsaken.
Yeah,
not Sylvanas.
That makes you wonder as well, because like I think Blizzard tries to say that, you know, it's kind of equal in terms of like Horde versus Alliance, evil or good. But when you compare Sylvanas with Anduin, like if you look at it from this perspective now, is that Sylvanas had them all killed, and Anduin is burying all of them, like including the Forsaken, and that makes you, I don't know. Then it's hard to read that and then still feel like, oh, but you know, Sylvanas is actually good. I mean,
yeah, even with the Teldrassil stuff, it's like Sylvanas is like, I'm worried that something bad will happen with Azerite and I will be attacked, so I will kill someone. And then it's like, I'm worried that the Forsaken are getting too much hope, and the presence of this Alliance person must mean that it's a threat and it's an insult, so I'll kill everyone. And it's just like, she just has a worry and she gets paranoid and she just acts on it in the most dramatic, like, worst possible way all the time.
Well, it can be seen as like, well, you know, like my faction leader is not afraid, you know, she's gonna, you know, go ham, she's badass, she's gonna, you know, make sure to do whatever she can do for her faction. But in these situations, it's still like, but like, okay, so she killed these Forsakens because she was worried that they were gonna betray her, and Anduin might have had similar worries, but he decided to bury them, you know?
Right.
Like, then it still feels like the gray zone is very not very gray.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's yeah. I'm trying to like look at it from both perspectives, because you don't want to be like biased to one faction, but it's these things do make it hard sometimes.
Right. And this next thing we're going to cover too on the Windrunner comic, it raises the discussion, but Sylvanas still looks like the, you know, evil plotting one as well, because the reveal is that she was planning on killing her sisters at the end of the comic, and at the last minute decides not to.
I read the whole thing and I was like, whoa, what? Did that really happen?
Yeah. Okay,
maybe we should take it from the beginning to explain what actually happens in this.
Yeah. So we covered the other comics, and the third one is on the Windrunners. What happens in the comic
and we guessed
is that
correctly, by the way. You know how maybe not exactly, because it does include more people in this one. It's not entirely horde based, but it definitely does have, like, you know, Sylvanas as one of the central characters, and she is indeed horde.
So this starts off where the three sisters agree to meet to try to cleanse Windrunner Spire, their ancestral home. And we see them, we see Illyria and Bareilles struggling and going over their doubts as they meet up. At first, it seems like the meeting is kind of going okay. They meet up, they're wistful how things change, but then stuff starts deteriorating. They start arguing that, you know, Sylvanas was manipulating Bareilles into the events of war crimes, and then Sylvanas is upset that Bareilles basically said she would join Sylvanas in Undercity and then abandoned her without much notice. And then they start arguing about other stuff where they are playing two truths and a lie, and Sylvanas won't say what is the lie. And then there's other things like Sylvanas is in Banshee form and she's killing the undead. And then Illyria is like, you disgust me. And Sylvanas is like, I didn't have a choice, but, you know, you're in void form and you willingly, like, embrace the void, so you're worse than me. And Bareilles is just like, I love all of you. Don't fight. This is sad. So speaking of the void before two truths and a lie, Sylvanas is outright manipulative in this comic, but we also learn that things aren't really going well for Illyria. The manifestation of the void powers that she got in patch 7.3 are always yelling at her, and it seems really overwhelming and awful.
You can see, for example, in this one, I'm just going to butt in quickly since I'm showing a picture. In this one, as she's next to Rallion, it says, the voices say, can never be enough. Prove your love. Slay him and free him from the curse of the light. Stop resisting, give in, and become one with us. It is only a matter of time. And, you know, this is with her love of her life. And she gets these kind of messages, or whispers rather, throughout meeting anyone. And I'll quickly go to the one when she meets Sylvanas here. This one says, this one is dangerous. She is a threat and must be ended. Beware this one. She seeks the death of all things, all possibilities. End her threat. Murder her. Save yourself and murder her. Save the world and murder her.
So the Void really does not like Sylvanas because Sylvanas is undeath, and that's something that's immune to the whispers of the Void.
Mm-hmm.
You
can
it's
really
still,
see it in the text here. Yeah.
Right. It's still really bad though that with Turalyon, like you should kill him, and whenever Illyria mentions the comic, it's like, yeah, this is awful, but my love for my son Arator will keep me grounded, and it's like, oh well, gee, I bet something will happen to him. But, and she keeps saying that right now the powers of the Void are actually not, they're not, it's really rough and you can barely keep them in check. So she's not as far lost as Sylvanas, but stuff could get really bad quickly if anything happens to Arator or if it's not enough to keep her whispers in check.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we're saying like, oh, well, Sylvanas planned on killing her sisters, and it's like, well, Illyria's voices are telling her to kill Sylvanas, so they both have these, murderous thoughts in their head.
I would also like to highlight the game that Pert mentioned.
Yeah,
so they were playing 2 truths and 1 lie. And Sylvana's ones were, her first one was, there are times I wish I were still alive. Second one is, I am proud to be war chief of the Horde. And the third one, which is here, I will never betray you, my sisters. And it never appeared in the story which one of these is actually her lie. Like, is her lie that she would never betray? Does that mean that she would betray? Because it does show towards the end of the story that it seems like the plan was to actually kill them or attack them in one way or another. We can see here that when they came, they said, my lady, we were waiting, but you did not give the signal.
Right.
So did something change her mind, or like what actually happened?
So I think her mind was changed when Bareilles at the end apologized for Sylvanas for abandoning her at the end of War Crimes, and she didn't treat Sylvanas with the proper respect and closure, and she did something hurtful. But because Sylvanas has a really warped sense of morality, you don't know if Sylvanas was thinking, oh, we're all bickering now and we all don't like each other and we got rid of our necklaces. It would be a favor to kill them and then we could all rule side by side as undead. So you don't know if she's viewing this as a positive thing. Because as we learn in other novels and works, she seems really proud to be undead sometimes in her new form. And she, in the 735 epilogue, she seems totally bored and she's not cheering for the Horde and she seems just not really full of spirit. So it's like, well, was the Horde being a lie? Maybe that's what it is, but we don't really know. Or maybe all of them are half-truths. Because she wasn't viewing it as a betrayal of Bareilles to kill her and then take her to Undercity. She's like, oh, this was great, we can rule side by side and be family again, yay. So that is interesting. I mean, of course it sours where, Sylvanas just can't say, oh, I decided against this, but she has to be like, oh, I'll get them at a later point. In the end, they will serve death. And it's like, okay, this is getting a little extreme again. You could just have left it that, oh, I actually love my sisters, that's fine. But she just, it's just very, very extreme into death. And it's just, yeah. You're getting this thing that, like, she's very super into this cult of death, while Illyria is, like, super into this cult of the Void. And,
it is nice to see that she didn't go against her sisters, though.
Right. It just would have been nice if she didn't end it by saying, oh, I'll get them a different time.
Yeah. But like you mentioned, and I see someone in the chat also mentioning, like, she might not seeing the undeath as a punishment. She may see it as a sort of, finally getting together properly. So it might be that kind of idea as well that she has in her mind.
Yeah, we learn also a bit in Before the Storm where how she's viewing undeath as an improvement over being alive. So, it's not, I think some people view Sylvanas as like, oh, it's her old self and she had new body and bad stuff happened to her, but it's like, no, she is like the manifestation of death, like she is as extreme into death as Illyria is with void magic. So her perspective is like, it's not just like, oh, I'm this human trapped and now I'm a Forsaken, but I really want to be a human. It's like she's fully embracing this new alternate perspective.
I think that's it for spoiler tags.
Yeah, that's about it for spoiler tags.
All right, so spoiler tag right there is going away.
Yeah.
In exactly 3, 2, 1, gone. So welcome back, everyone, from muting us.
Yep.
Everything is safe now to listen to. There's no more spoilers, no more lore talk. Mainly just, last minute news on live game and what's going on Wowhead.
Right.
For the most part.
So this is exciting news for you. The EU version of the gear store is a thing. So you can access the EU gear shop on a special menu on the gear shop page. And this has lower shipping costs, no import duties, and faster deliveries if you live in the EU member states.
Yep,
and you
custom
can see
fees.
the site in French and German too.
Custom fees are so annoying. Sometimes they would be like more expensive than the item themselves, and you're already paying for shipping.
He does all the ship. Yeah.
It's awful. So this is great news. I remember when I got the Hearthstone pillow, it was funny because the Hearthstone pillow was a gift and the person ordered it from the US with my address on it. And when I got the gift, I had to pay $50 for the gift to just pick it up from the post office. And that was more than what the item had cost in the first place. And it's just so silly that it's like that. So it's great that Blizzard now has an EU version of this store. I think a lot of people have been waiting for this to happen. So that's really nice.
Yeah. In other news, we don't know when. I thought this would have been addressed at the Q&A, but it wasn't. The Mage Tower challenge is at some point, it will always be at 100% before, Battle for Azeroth permanently takes it away.
I like that.
And the goal is that it gives you more time to work on all of the challenges because that is the one tint that you need to get before Battle for Azeroth in order to transmog to it.
Because the tint is going away, so it's Wait, is it going away?
The what? Sorry, is what going away?
Is the Mage Tower tint going away?
Yeah.
Or did they say that you could get it in a different way?
No, that's the Mythic 15 you can get in BfA.
Oh right,
But,
Mage Tower is
Tower
a new skin altogether, not just the color, of course.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain was a bit slow there. Yeah, so it's of course, because you get like the special feral ones, for example, that changes your form completely. Same with the Guardian one and some other pretty cool ones for other classes as well. For me personally, I really wanted the Druid ones, even though I barely play my Druid. I really wanted those skins, so I went ahead and did it. And you can unlock the the tints of that appearance later on, but you need to get the base one now. So it's good that the Mage Tower will be up at all times, because imagine it's like a few days left before the expansion, and then like Mage Tower has just gone down, and then you can't get it.
No one did their turn-ins, you can't get it.
Yeah, like that would be really awful. So I'm guessing that maybe it'll go up like maybe 2 weeks before or something. Maybe a bit before the pre-patch as well, so people don't risk like needing to learn their new rotations.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could see it going live in like maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we haven't gotten a date on that yet. Maybe we will along with the pre-patch.
So yeah.
Also, this is pretty exciting. So outside of WoW, Urel is coming to Heroes of the Storm, and it's a big deal when a new hero makes its way into the game. And in addition to that, this marks the start of the Echoes of Alterac event, which is a Warcraft-themed event in Heroes, which will bring about a new Alterac Valley-inspired battleground and a bunch of Alliance and Horde skins like Spirit Healer Oriel or Warsong Orc Johanna, and a lot of other cool faction pride skins. And the battleground has kind of funny details, like the Bridge of Death, the choke point, is also on the map. There's lots of announcer packs, lots of banners. You can do quests to get a Warcraft hero mount. And we reached out to Heroes of the Storm because when we covered this, it was like crazy interest on the Alliance and Horde skins on Wowhead, and we're happy to announce that we have 2 rounds of giveaways, and this week we are giving away 100 free Urel hero bundles, which gives you the hero drill as well as one of the launch skin tints, and it's super easy to enter. And we also have guides if you are a brand new Warcraft player and you want to play Heroes of the Storm, like what are the easiest heroes, what are like, noob mistakes to ignore. And then our sister site Hot Slugs has a talent calc for Urel as well as statistics on what heroes or maps she does the best on. So thank you to Blizzard for giving us those keys, and we'll have more coming next week with the Alliance and Horde skins.
Pretty cool that WoW is making an appearance in Heroes of the Storm. With especially the Alliance and Horde.
Yeah, and the timing is pretty funny because we're just talking about the whole Mag'har Orc scenario and how Urel makes sense there. And she has some funny tongue-in-cheek lines where she's saying things like, like, why didn't I go to Argus? Or, I miss you guys here. It's not like after all our efforts on Draenor, the Legion just invaded anyway, or that I was left behind while everyone joined the Army of the Light to fight against my people's greatest enemy without me. Can you imagine if that happened? I'd be furious. So Heroes of the Storm isn't super serious. It's kind of playing, it's kind of some self-awareness here, how she's reflecting on Legion. So yeah, she's just, it's a really fun event, and we're really happy to have those codes to give away.
I see some people asking, how do you enter? Is there a link that we can post or something where they can read more about it?
Yeah. Can you drop a link, Sass, into the chat? URL, Heroes of the Storm, to enter?
Yes, it's also a banner on the site now.
Okay. Yeah, he says yes, and also he just put it as a banner on the site, so it's very obvious where you enter.
Oh, like in the Twitch description, or?
Oh, like on wowhead.com. Like
on Wowhead, okay.
And the very top, it's like...
Mm-hmm.
Echoes of Alterac event and Urel giveaway.
All right.
Giveaway for a free hero.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
Also, congratulations, Smelly TV, for being the winner in the Twitch giveaway.
Yay!
Congratulations. And then we can move on to some updates on Wowhead in general.
Yeah.
So first thing we want to mention is you guys remember when we had a beta key giveaway a couple weeks ago or so, and there was a lot of interest for them, and we are happy to be able to say that we're gonna have another beta key giveaway. And we will put together the instructions on how to do it. I will probably tweet it out sometime tomorrow or so. It'll be something similar to last time, where you submit a screenshot of some sort. The idea that we have, which will probably be more explained, is having some sort of selfie with Pepe with you. Because we all love Pepe, right?
Yep.
So that's the idea. If you don't have Pepe, remember, you can pick up Pepe in your garrison, or if you don't have a garrison, you can pick it up from a friend's garrison. It should be relatively easy to be able to do that. So that's the idea. And this time, instead of 5 keys, we have 30 keys. So it's a lot of beta keys up for grabs. And yeah, what else is happening on Wowhead, Perk?
So we have also a giveaway going on right now on Wowhead for 750 beta keys, and you do something in game, and if you've done it recently, you can enter. And for this one, you have to complete the Class Hall campaign in order to enter. And thank you to Blizzard for giving us a lot more keys. We know people, they were really excited by the early giveaways and like, oh, we want more keys continuously. So we have a lot more keys. We're really happy to have them planned out over several weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We've also been doing a lot of Battle for Azeroth updates to Wowhead. Specifically, on every page we have an updated Azerite Power UI that reflects the new kind of shiny one in-game. And we've also added more filters and ways for you to see what pieces use what Azerite traits and vice versa. So if you are on an Azerite trait spell page, there is a tab showing all of the items that use that particular trait. Or you can filter saying, on the items page, show me everything that uses that trait, and you'll get a nice list of items. So we're trying to make it really easy to navigate and use. We've also added the War Mode talents by popular request to the right-hand side of the Battle for Azeroth talent calculator, because that's how it's shown in game. They're not 2 separate tabs now, they're just 1 tab. So you can, create your outdoor content PvP build, and just link that around to everyone, and you'll be seeing that soon in Wowhead guides as well. And we have also written some new guides on the site, not totally related to the Battle for Azeroth beta, even though those get updated every day. We have how to use WoW Analyzer, which is a pretty interesting, tool to tell you how you're doing in a raid, like if you having proper uptime, if you're using the abilities properly, sort of going beyond the, oh, look, you died type thing. So we have a guide on how to use that to improve your performance. We have a guide to the add-on All the Things, which Annie is a big fan of. You just hit, I think, 97%. So
I did. I hit 97%.
So that's really exciting. So if you too want to hit 97%, get this magical add-on. And we also had a series of extreme soloing guides. Normally, whenever we cover soloing things, it does really well, and people say, oh, but why didn't you feature this other person that solos? And I feel the community could be better well known, so we asked one of the hunters that does a lot of soloing, Durendil, to write a general soloing overview guide and his specific tips for hunters. And he did a little leaderboard showing, like who has been able to clear what. So we hope this has generated some interest, and we can highlight, people soloing stuff in the future more frequently.
Yeah.
And that's about it on my end. More giveaways will be happening shortly. More beta coverage will be happening shortly. We will see if there's anything new on the PTR whenever they have character copy up. And yeah, that's basically it on my end.
Time for questions?
One sec. Before we do that, let me see. I don't know how the lighting is on this. Can people?
Yes.
Okay.
It
so
looks good.
you can see the pins on him.
The pins?
Like on his like.
Oh yeah, a bit higher. Oh. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
So,
yes, you can see them very clearly.
These are the Wowhead Noble Garden and Midsummer pin prizes that we mentioned when we did our site giveaways for the holidays. And we're really excited about the quality. And if you stay tuned, you may see some similar pins available on Wowhead shortly. It's a big project Kitsuki and Sass and some others have been working on.
Oh.
But yeah, I love how they look, and Pepe is such a cute model. Good job, Pepe.
I really like the little bow.
Yeah.
It's very cute.
But yeah, that's all I got, and I'm moving Pusheen out of the way so I can see what's up with questions.
This is Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, it's Doctor Who.
Guys with the bow tie.
So
thanks for the clarification. It's Doctor Who, guys. Dr. Pepe. Did we have any questions?
Yeah, so Stonebridge asked, is Blizzard going to add Warfront locations? Yes, it won't be super frequent, but there will be more Warfronts in Battle for Azeroth. Some people were speculating maybe Theramore or, I don't know, Ashenvale, something like that. And Amaze Blaze says, which sister are you for with the comic Choose Your Side?
Oh. Do I go first?
Yeah, you go first.
I might be very biased, but I really like Ilaria.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm picking Ilaria here.
Okay, so I'm picking Bareilles because Sylvanas is being evil there. Ilaria is being kind of hot-headed, and she's the one that's like, oh, like, my family is broken, like, I don't want this necklace anymore, and Bareilles is the one that is actually trying to make peace and remind the sisters of their special connection and friendship. And I think it takes a lot because, she's not the super talented, larger-than-life one. She's the one that could easily hold grudges against her sisters or be jealous, and she's being the most mature even though she doesn't have some special ability.
Is she the oldest? Who's the
oldest? No, she's the Ilaria, I think, is the oldest. Well, it's Ilaria and Sylvanas are Lady Sun and Lady Moon, and then Bareilles is the Little Moon as their nicknames.
Of course, that makes sense, yeah.
So,
yeah, that makes sense, but I'm, I have to still stick with Ilaria because I like Ilaria.
Yep.
So that's who I'm going with. That was a good question.
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah.
Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Aegis wants to know, will we get a new achievement for honorable kills? I don't think we've data mined any, but if you go to the Battle for Azeroth version of the site and you search around, you can see like all achievements in general that we have updated onto the site. Voodoo Dog says, didn't Sylvanas try to make a pact with Helya? What happened with that? That is a great question. That's sort of, you know, kind of a lost plot line. Maybe we will pick that back up.
Yeah. Good point.
FWY101 says, what do you think of mechanomes as an allied race? Blingtrons have been at war in the underground, fighting against corrupted units. Could this be tied in with the old gods trying to corrupt them with the curse of flesh? So I'm not ruling anything out, but I think that I don't think Blizzard wants to have like 10 variants of elves or 10 variants of trolls, but you know, I think gnomes need some love, and it could be interesting if there was another, you know, gnome variant of some sort. Maybe like you could play as a mecha gnome or a leper gnome or little variants of gnomes. That could be interesting, but I'm not sure that will be coming, you know, super soon. With how the story isn't really highlighting anything with gnomes.
Mm-hmm. We actually know of so many allied races that still are not in the game, so it's probably going to be a bit away.
Yeah. And that's basically it, I think. So.
All right.
Yeah. Do you have anything you wanted to say, Sass?
I do not.
Okay.
No. Well, in that case, I'd like to thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. We got to cover lots of things tonight. We had the Q&A and lots of different updates and even some lore updates, some spoilers, some things on news in general, giveaways, all sorts of stuff. Hopefully you guys... Yeah, Cat Brightpaw actually made an appearance that lasted for more than 5 seconds. Yep. And yeah. Thank you guys so much for everything, for hanging out, for supporting all the subs, resubs, follows, people hanging out on the Wowhead front page, also watching the stream or watching the podcast. Hello to you guys too. A little bit of a shout out. Also shout out to people who are using the Wowhead Premium. Premium is a subscription on the Wowhead website which removes all the ads and gives you other extra perks such as your own color in the forums. Yep, front page on Wowhead. A quick reminder that there's not going to be a show next week because of, things happen, some travels are happening, but we should be back the week after that, hopefully, if everything goes correctly. And if there's some kind of major news before then, we might have a show anyways, but most likely it's not going to happen. But we will keep you guys updated using Twitter. So if you're not already, you could follow Wowhead on Twitter. You can follow me, Amy Fuchsia, on Twitter. You can also follow Perculia on Twitter. And Sass, apparently.
Yeah, you can follow Sass.
You can follow Sass too.
Yeah, you can.
Just follow everyone, to keep yourself in the loop of what's going on. And we will keep the updates going. Also, as a quick reminder, we are doing another giveaway for 30 beta keys for BfA. I will try to get the tweet out by tomorrow. For those of you guys who are following me, you may know that I'm actually traveling to DreamHack. Not Austin, DreamHack Summer tomorrow. So it's going to be a pretty hectic weekend for me as well. But I would like to get those beta keys going so that you guys can, submit your screenshots and all that during the weekend. I think that would be pretty nice. And then we draw the winners sometime, maybe next week or so. I'll try to think of a date with Perk and put the date on the tweet itself as well. So you guys so you're aware of how long you have and, things like that. And I believe that's it for now from us.
Yeah. So, I'm good on my end, and thanks for everyone for supporting us with all of the beta stuff going on, all the data mining. You guys have been awesome, just linking and sharing all of our coverage and recommending the guides, and we're all, we're working really hard. It's kind of nerve-wracking because we don't know when stuff is happening, but we know it's soon. Mm-hmm. But if we knew a date, it would really help us. So, thank you for all the support and, enjoying the content. It helps keeps us motivated and going. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I'm good on
all you guys who use Wowhead and actually comment on the sections as well. Like a little bit of a shout out to you guys as well. It's always fun to read what people think about the different things that are announced. So thank you guys for showing engagement like that. Ooh.
Yeah. I hope Sass is okay. Sass was Sass
is okay, confirmed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really glad to see that you were able to do the show as well, Perk. That you're not sick anymore.
Yeah, hopefully I'll keep feeling better.
Yeah,
I really didn't want to
so.
in case it was up in the air, but
yeah,
I had a fun E3 dinner yesterday. It was nice. Got to see community and some other WoW people. I got my Before the Storm book, so that was cool. And yeah, I'm feeling better now, so not the end of the world.
That's good.
So yeah, I think good. Yeah.
I just saw a subscription in the chat as well. Venus, thank you very much for subscribing in this last minute on the show. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And also, I wanted to talk about one more thing. Timestamps, we promised to do that last week, but there were some issues with that, so we were not able to do it. But
he had them, Sass did them, he just put them in a document, and we thought they were going to be somewhere else, so we're like, oh, we found these.
There was a bit of a miscommunication, so they kind of got lost in a twisting another. But
I just wrote them down. I didn't know anyway.
But we should be able to have them up and going this time.
Yeah.
So hopefully you should be able to use them. I know that for especially YouTube viewers, it's nice to have timestamps. So hopefully this should help it.
Yeah, he has like a little stopwatch. So yeah, and hopefully it will be good.
Hopefully it will be good.
Yeah.
Feel free to give us feedback on that as well.
Make sure
I'll watch it again if I have to make them right.
Oh, thank you, Sass, for all you do.
So,
and yeah, I think that's it from us. Thank you, Perk, as well.
Yeah.
For the show. Thank you. What was it called? Pusheen?
Yeah, this is Pusheen.
Pusheen. Thank you, Pusheen. Thank you, Pepe. Thank you, Bradpaw. Thank you to everyone.
Animal farm here.
This
is from
Jada Zoo going on over there. Oh, we got another subscriber.
Nice.
Maresil59. Thank you so much for the sub as well. All right. Well, this is our cute say goodbye. See you all, not next week, but probably the week after. I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter.
Yep. See ya. Bye.
See everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.